All right, UFC 273 is in the books. I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about here. I think this was one of the best events of the year. We may have seen one of the greatest fights of all time. Boys, we have all three of us in the building once again, / in the Zoom call. Hunter, Sam, how are you boys doing?
Pretty good.
Can't complain.
All right, let's start. Let's have a very general overview of the fights that no one really wants to hear us talk about, but we're going to talk about anyway. Prelims and / early prelims. What do we think? Who's going where? What concerns? What compliments do we give? Well, let's start with Sam.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, person I was kind of impressed with was Raquel Pennington in the prelims. She looked good against Aspen Ladd.
So actually, that's a really good thing. Let's all go one fight, someone that we were impressed with, disappointed with. So you're going to go Raquel Pennington. What was it about that fight that like does it for you?
She had the output. Ladd brought her to the ground twice. She still was able to stay in the fight. And I mean, if I remember correctly, sorry, it was my birthday weekend, so a little bit don't remember the fights too well. But if I remember correctly, that third round was definitely won by her. Like, I think she went down 1-0 and then came on strong at the end.
I'm trying to think how that fight went.
Because it ended 28-29 or 29-28 by all three.
Yeah, Pennington won 29-28. She won the first two rounds, I believe, and then lost the last one.
That's what it was, I thought. Yeah.
Regardless, she fought on like the shortest notice you can against a girl like Aspen Ladd. So yeah, shout out Raquel Pennington. She still got it a little bit. I'm gonna go as female fighter on the prelims, I believe, right? Yeah, Mackenzie Dern.
She was main event. She was main card. We'll talk about her.
But yeah, so we'll go to that fight after. But on the whole card, I think she impressed me the most because like stylistically, Tecia Torres is the perfect one to beat a girl like her because she's so quick. She's in and out. She's good at grappling, not awful. Mackenzie, so I was impressed with her.
All right, I got two. I'll start with one, and then there's two fights that I want to mention on the prelims because I thought you were going to be taking one of them. I'm gonna start with the one of the winners. Ian Gary gets a win. However, he did not look as dominant as I was hoping he would. He was a little just contained. He didn't look like he was really out there throwing 100%. I don't know what it was. He looked a little scared, which seems like a weird place to be scared when you're fighting in Jacksonville during your second fight, not when you were fighting at Madison Square Garden during your first one. He definitely won the fight. However, it wasn't as dominant as we as once thought it was going to be. Yeah, I mean, shout out Ian Gary, but honestly, shout out Darian Weeks. I think he put on a great performance. He puts his stock honestly up, even regardless of a loss. I think that he becomes a real fighter in this division, not to be someone that's going to be top 15, not top 10, but he's going to be someone that you have to pass before getting into some of these ranked fights, which is honestly a really good career path because you're going to be there for a while.
I think Ian Gary looked fine, though, in the sense that he won 30-27 on two of the judges' scorecards. He won 3 rounds. He didn't really get hurt ever. I mean, we're not going to see him get a knockout every time. Connor's second fight, he won by unanimous decision as well. You're not going to – I know it's against Max Holloway, but
yeah,
you're not going to beat somebody. You're not going to destroy everybody you face. Weeks didn't really pose any crazy threat. Like Gary's first fight, it was just a barn burn. It was a firefight, and he ended up getting a knockout. He's still young, man. I think both their stocks go up in that fight. I think he needed 15 minutes in the octagon, though. I think that actually helps a lot.
He did kill it in the post-fight interview where he said, hey, like, I'm still learning. I'm not nearly perfect. He said, like, this is going to be a work in progress. I'm still young. I'm learning. I'm going to eventually be that perfect guy. He goes, but there's going to be bumps in the road, and this was one of them. So I really liked what Ian Gary did, regardless of the lack of performance, I'll say, even though he did win 30-27, 30-27, 29-28. But yeah, no, Ian Gary impressed me, but not enough that I thought, like, give him a top 15 guy right now. And then two people that we talked about between me and Hunter that were early prelim fights. Maybe one was on the first fight of the prelims. Do we think these two are going to get cut between Kay Hansen getting a loss? She did officially get cut today.
Yeah, I think I saw something on Bleacher Report that she got cut after the fight.
And to Jared Bandera.
I didn't see anything on Bandera.
I'm gonna touch on Kay Hansen real quick. I think she deserves to be cut. You can't lose 4 straight. She's not looking better any fight. She's not doing anything different. Kay Hansen's a good fighter, but she's got a long way to go. She shouldn't be in the UFC right now. Jared Bandera had the perfect game plan. He literally was beating the shit out of Oleinik, and Oleinik did it again. I don't know if I want to see Bandera cut yet, but he could get cut for sure.
Yeah, 2 hours ago, Kay Hansen was cut from the UFC via at UFC Roster Watch. It's good follow if you guys are deep fans of the UFC. It's a robot that automatically detects when the UFC takes fighters off of the website as well as adds them on. So you'll see a lot of additions. You'll also see everyone that gets cut. And also suspended, because I believe at one point it said Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and we all know she was not actually cut. She was just kind of held.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the only two that I want to talk about, because Bandera, he looked good until he really didn't. And then he was puking in a corner. That wasn't too awesome. He had to cut down to get to 266. I think that's part of an issue. I think he needs to be constantly weighing less. I think he needs to get into a little bit better shape, because if you're losing that quickly to Alexei Oleinik, granted he's a amazing grappler.
He almost had knocked out, but yeah, Oleinik does what Oleinik does. I mean,
yeah, I think that's really all we have to say about that. And then we go into the main card. The main card, we could honestly talk about every single one of these fights for the length that they went on. We're not going to do that because that would be a 3-hour show. Instead, let's just break it down one by one. So the first fight, Anthony Hernandez, and I'm trying to think of who he faced. Do we know the name off the top of the head?
He was the second fight, or he's the second last fight on the prelims.
he was on the prelims.
Hernandez.
Was he?
Yeah, versus Fred.
It was Mark Madsen and what's his face to start off the
Michelle.
Yeah.
Well, then shout out Anthony Hernandez, because that fight was awesome too.
It was a great fight, yeah.
I'll agree with that.
Why did I think that was the first fight? I don't know. Mark Madsen versus Vince Pinchell.
Yep.
According to Twitter, there was some controversy on who won that fight. I don't agree. I did think Madsen won that fight.
I actually went 5-5 in all my bets on the main card. I was a little bit too tipsy, guys, to post anything, but I can post on our story one of these days and show you guys. I think Madsen looked great. I wanted to see him after the Guida win, to see him against a guy that's a little bit better striker. And I think Madsen proves he's got a good chance. He can compete with those top 15, 100%.
Yeah, especially with that. I think I saw on there 3-time Olympic gold medalist in Greco.
Yep,
so he's going to be able to almost out wrestle anyone at lightweight.
Yeah, that's a scary thing in the lightweight division. The lightweight division doesn't like wrestlers. Let's put it that way.
Especially some of the guys at the top.
There are some very, very strong wrestlers in that division, which usually brings out some of the best fights. I liked Madsen. Again, I thought he won the fight too. I thought it was close. Didn't think it was close enough to give Pinchell the victory, even though I was telling you guys on the last week's show that I thought Pinchell had that victory. So
I think both those guys are going to be around for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, Pinchell only drops 14-3 in his pro career. Like, he's still just as high up as he was when he got into this fight.
Oh yeah.
Losing to 12-0 Olympic champion, not the worst loss you could take. So I think that's enough to say about that fight. But then the next fight, I feel like we could go on for hours. Mackenzie Dern defeats Tecia Torres by split decision. Hunter, I feel like you'll have the strongest opinion on this. What'd you think of the split decision? What'd you think of the way that Dern came out after seeing the press conference? Like, what was your entire take on this entire event or this entire fight?
My thing with this, I'm going to say shout out Tecia Torres. I think Tecia looked the best she's ever looked. And I think she can still make a run at a title shot one day. But I think this shows how good Mackenzie's getting amazing. She's striking now. She's pushing the pace. She's in your face because her speed's not there compared to some of these girls striking wise. Now she's learning pressure, and she fought for 15 minutes at a pace that a lot of girls aren't going to be able to fight at. With the grappling, man, she's jumping and trying to do triangles, and she's she's wild. She's getting really good, and she's learning how to just score points too. And she's like, she's not going to get a takedown. That's fine. She's not going to beat you just with jiu-jitsu or grappling now. She can beat you standing up. They stood up this whole fight almost. So I think Mackenzie Dern looked freaking impressive, and I want to see her get a title shot sometime next year, 100%.
Her striking.
Yeah, Tisha
was
Torres
great.
actually had more control time than Mackenzie Dern too.
Yeah, with scrambles, yeah.
Yeah, her striking was crisp in this fight. Not something I expected to happen. Love that I saw it, because I honestly almost see her being one, maybe definitely max 2 fights away from a title shot. And that's a division that, I mean, realistically, anyone could be champion. I love Rose. I love Rose Namajunas, but what's the difference between Rose Namajunas and Tisha Torres even? I don't think it's too much.
That's a close
margin
fight.
is very slim, and there's about 6 fighters inside that margin.
And there's not a single girl. You have Joanna, you have all these girls at 115. Andrade, if I don't know if she's going 25 or 15. No one's gonna out grapple Mackenzie Dern.
No.
So she has a good chance to, if she keeps getting better striking, be a champion for a long time in that division.
So this is the first fight where there's a lot of meaning, and there's only a few options of where they could go. For Tisha Torres, I think she's gonna get like someone in the bottom 10 of the division, and she'll make her way back up. She's going to, because she's that skilled. For Mackenzie Dern, who do we see next? It's not going to be a title shot, but who's like the most like able person to do this?
I want her. Well, what do we have? We have the Joanna and Zhang rematch, right?
Yep. We have Carla versus Rose. She already fought Marina Rodriguez, and then there's the one that Marina just beat, the one from China.
Yan.
Yeah.
I think Dern might have to, dude, that's tough because she deserves a top 3. I think she should sit and face the loser of Esparza and Rose, or the loser of Joanna and Zhang, something like that. I think the loser of the Rose fight she should wait for, which is going to be Carla Esparza, to be honest.
And that's coming up. I mean, that's the Arizona card in May. So it's not it's far away to wait.
Yeah, she doesn't have to wait that long.
I mean, that's a late summer rematch, as long as the loser doesn't get beat violently. And if she does, then we're just waiting until June, and Joanna versus Zhang Weili will fight. And if they get too injured, then it's kind of a mess. Maybe you fight Jan.
Unless she wants to take a fight against a lower ranked person. It sucks because she's in a shitty position, Mackenzie. Like, she's literally can't go up at this point unless you want to rematch Marina or something.
I don't think that's what's going to happen. Although Marina's almost in the same exact boat, just one fight earlier. One fight earlier. If Dern wins that fight against Marina Rodriguez, we're talking about Dern fighting for a title right now. However, that's not the case. Marina very well could have been the next person in line for a title shot. Still could be.
And there's you have to give it to Carla though, as far as like she's a pioneer.
I'm saying after that fight.
Oh,
I think very well Marina could be the next title contender.
Unless certain someone can beat Zhang Weili. It would be a Joanna, whoever, because Joanna's the girl. You know, if she wins, you give her a title fight.
But if it's Rose and Joanna, that's another rematch. I don't know if the UFC wants to continue to do rematches and title fights. So we'll see. I think this division is going to be wild to watch, I think, over the next year and a half, because there's so many names, and it probably is the deepest women's division. There is. So I think it's a fun division. I actually really like women's MMA. Not saying that because it's any less than a men. It's not, because that division shows that women's sports can get eyeballs as well.
Yeah, no, they're getting better and better. So
I'm just saying, I think it's time that Dern gets a top 3, and then if she wins that, I give her a title shot. Unless Marina wins against Rose, then you're talking Zhang Weili, you're talking Joanna, you're talking who knows. All right, into the next fight, because this is where I know we're going to have some disagreements. And not because I think that Gilbert Burns won the fight, but Khamzat Chimaev moves up to number 3 in the welterweight rankings. Gilbert Burns moves down from 2 to 4.
Is Leon up to 2 then?
Leon went up to 2. Colby stays at number 1. But let's talk about the rankings afterwards. Instead, right now, Khamzat Chimaev beats Gilbert Burns by a decision. Now, I know the two of you agree with that decision, and I'm really not saying that I disagree with the decision. I'm just saying it's a lot closer than what people thought.
Sam, I want to hear what you think about that fight.
I mean, so I thought it was an incredible fight. I think they split their first 2 rounds, and I think you got to give round 3 to the guy that was the more aggressive fighter.
Okay, but who is the more aggressive fighter?
Khamzat was just, I think he had more control in the cage. He was backing Burns was up against the fence most of that round. Burns didn't really start actually like going at him until the last like minute 30, if I remember correctly.
My whole issue, like, all right, I'm just gonna bust into this. My issue with the scoring, and this doesn't come back to Khamzat, doesn't come back to Burns. It comes back to the way the format is for scoring. There's really no calculation. It's all opinion based, which that's fighting sports. I get that. But when Gilbert Burns outstrikes you, he has more significant strikes. And if you really watch it, he was wobbled, or Khamzat was wobbled more times than Burns. When it comes to the first thing that determines a round, more damage, there was 0 takedowns in the round. There was 0 knockdowns. Damage, I would have to have given that to Burns. That's where my issue comes. I actually think that if I was judging it not knowing the rules and not knowing how scoring is supposed to be formatted, I would give it to Khamzat. But because I know that that's what they're supposed to be going off of, then I give it to Burns.
My opinion on the fight is this: take away the names. Take away, if you don't know who Gilbert Burns is, you don't know who Chimaev is, Khamzat, and you don't know the storylines that he should be so dominant, he should absolutely run through Burns. I think everyone gave into the fact that, holy shit, someone's giving Khamzat a run for his money. And then they're like, oh my God, maybe Burns even won that. Don't watch with audio. Don't watch thinking about the two people's names. Chimaev was in his face. He hit him with the harder shots. Yes, he got wobbled at the end of the second round. Guess what? Took him down 2 seconds later. People need it. It's 2-1 Khamzat in whatever way you watched it. I rewatched the fight because I was like, people really think Burns won this? And I just can't see it. I think this shows this though. Khamzat's 11th fight, or is his 12th? Was that his 12th?
12th, I believe.
11th. He's 11th now.
He's 11-0 now. His 11th fight, professional fight ever, is against the number 2 guy who had Usman on his heels in that title fight, and he absolutely performed on the biggest stage in one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. And so fuck the whole he should have mauled everybody. No, he literally just beat somebody that good in his 11th fight. Name another fighter that's ever done that. If you can name that, let me know. Never. It's never happened. Khabib's 11th fight, he fought a guy that was 3-8 in his professional MMA career. I mean, Connor's 11th fight was still in Cage Warriors, if he was even there by then. Like, GSP, all these guys, no one does that. Khamzat showed up, delivered, and he even said, I'll fight him in 5 rounds then too. Khamzat's a dog. He won the fight 2-1. But Gilbert Burns is still right there. He's that division is fucking insane. Like, there's 5 that could beat each other any day of the week, I think.
I will say this, and this doesn't regard to the fight, so you can kind of hold me off of that. Khamzat gassed himself out by the end of that fight. I know he prepares for this different if it's a 5-round fight, but you can't do that if you're fighting against a guy like Colby or you're fighting against like Kamaru.
He would prepare 100% different though in that fight.
He would, and that's why I'm saying that.
He had 15 minutes and he wore himself out in those 15 minutes like he should have, and that's why he won the fight. You know, if he was a little complacent here and there, he might not have, won that 3rd round. But he literally left it all in that last 5 minutes, hunted him down, walked him down. Of course, he's gonna be a little bit tired. 25 minutes, I don't think it's the same thing. I think Khamzat can finish him for sure. I also think he can still beat Usman and Kobe. Like, I don't know why everyone's trying to say, oh no, that just shows where he's at. I don't think a guy like Kobe can maybe beat him. I'm honestly going Chimaev in that one, and I love Kobe Covington.
I think the cardio plays.
He is the. They did. I think Vegas released the line for Usman Chimaev and Colby Chimaev, and Khamzat is the favorite against Colby if that fight does happen.
Also, aside from everything, he was fasting. he's Muslim, right? He's in Ramadan. He's not eating for days on end, like, and he still fights this good and trains like hard. So shout out him. I don't know.
I am interested to see so originally they already had said if Khamzat wins that fight, there's going to be a free ABC pay-per-view, just like there was last year when they went to Abu Dhabi. That the main headline is going to be Colby versus Khamzat.
Yeah.
I wonder if Dana's kind of bringing that back because, again, I'm not saying he can't beat Colby. He could. But if Colby beats Khamzat and beats him pretty decisively because of the cardio, and that's really the only reason Colby would win that fight, and because he'd probably stuff all the wrestling, and I think he's a better wrestler than Gilbert. So that would probably play a little bit of a factor. But however, if Colby beats Khamzat, what does that do to the Khamzat hype train? I also think Khamzat was humbled a little bit in this fight because he did get punched many times. I believe 121.
And he walked through it and walked out with the win.
141.
141. So I'm not saying he is going to take more damage to Colby Covington. He might take more strikes, to be honest. But I'm just saying, if he loses to Colby, what does that do to the hype train? Because
this is why Styles makes fight, right?
Yeah.
Makes fight. Gilbert Burns can knock you out cold. He's done it multiple times in his career. He can hurt you. Colby Covington's a volume striker, right? Khamzat will be able to walk through his shots. And I honestly believe that fight is not as close as we think it is. And I am the biggest Colby fan. I love Colby Covington to death. I think Khamzat can beat him pretty decisively. Now, Usman on the other is a different animal. Usman can hit you, can damage you, and he won't give up a takedown. I think Usman is the absolute kryptonite for Khamzat. But Colby, I don't know.
he's not going to take down Colby. I'm going to say that right now.
He's a better striker than Colby, in my opinion.
He's a better striker for sure. Yeah, I don't question that.
But we will find out.
When it comes to the wrestling, I'm not sure there's many people better than Colby.
There isn't, there isn't at all.
So, I don't know. If that fight gets to the ground, Colby might have the advantage.
100% true. And that's why the fight's interesting.
And Colby's another guy that's not going to back down. He's not going to be like Gilbert Burns and immediately be against the cage. Colby's going to come straight at you. And if he gets Khamzat against the cage, it's going to be strike, 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 takedown, strike, 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 strike. And I don't know if Khamzat can handle that because I did see him get worn down a little bit more than what we've seen because he didn't have to get punched twice in 4 fights.
I think he's a good chance he can knock him out too, though. So it'd be a great fight. I'm excited. I want to see it so fucking bad.
I think we're going to see
Khamzat a better striker than Masvidal in that division.
Fuck Masvidal.
Yeah,
I mean, we saw him go up against a great striker in that last fight.
I don't know. And the other part of it is Khamzat stronger than Usman? Because we've seen Usman throw some punches at Colby, and Colby did pretty well. Minus
cuts way too much weight. That's what I know. I think he should be a middleweight. I think he can. Yeah, he should be a middleweight, and he would walk through the middleweight division right now in terms of the styles. Because I think Usman beats Izzy, so I think I think Colby does too. I think all of them could take Izzy down.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't know, maybe.
And who knows? That's another thing Khamzat could very well do. Because, I mean, if you're Khamzat, you might be like, I got 2 studs in front of me. I could easily become a champ at middleweight because his buddy Darren Till's not going to be anytime soon.
And Sean Strickland said that Khamzat beat the shit out of him basically at practice. Yeah. So, and he's a, top 5 middleweight?
I don't think it's out of the question that Khamzat.
Yeah, I think he's tied for 4th.
That's the other thing. He's not going to be able to cut weight as well as he can right this second because he is so young.
Yeah.
There's going to come a time where he's not going to be able to cut weight as often as he can, especially since we're saying right now he's in Ramadan. He's not eating as much. Once he starts eating, that's going to be another part of this.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we'll see if we even get to the Colby fight because of weight.
That's huge. He walks around over 200, so it's a tough cut, clearly.
Right. We've seen Khamzat fight at 185. He looked good when he did it. I don't think it's out of the question, Khamzat versus.
I mean, a guy later on the card when he did do rugby was up over 200.
We'll get to that because that's nuts. We'll leave this fight alone because I feel like this is gonna be a fight that we talk about for many, many years to come because it was
Great.
that good.
Let's just settle on this. It was one of the greatest fucking 3-round fights you could get.
It's going to be fight of the year. I don't think there's a
100%.
question.
Yep.
All right. Into the first of the 2 title fights. Sam says it's a little boring. I disagree. Aljamain Sterling versus Piotr Yan. I'll start this one off because I have no issue with that. The biggest surprise I have is round 2 didn't go 10-8 on any scorecards for Aljamain Sterling, showing me that there may have been a little bit of hatred towards Aljamain from the judges, Dana White, the UFC, for everything he has put them through over the last year and a half, about 13 months. If you listen to the show on last week, you heard 2 guys that have dogged Aljamain Sterling for the last 13 months tell you that Aljamain was going to win this fight. So when it came to round 1, that is the big question on this fight card. I had posted in our group chat 10-9 Aljo. After that, I had actually put 20 to 17 Aljo. Not a single person between the 2 of you had disagreed with that. I do know that Hunter was on the same side as me. Sam, you didn't say anything, and I know you were looking at it. So the fact that you now want to tell me that you think that Jan won, a little sus. Because if you're doing the scorecard correctly and not doing it at the end, you have Aljo winning this fight.
I mean, I just got to say that last round from Aljo, what a fucking bitch move.
Hey, whatever gets you the belt around your waist at the end, that's what you got to do. He felt he won the first 3 rounds. He did on every scorecard.
He goes 2 of 22 on takedowns. Jan almost has as much control time as him.
Again, let's talk about the rules. It's damage first.
I understand it's by round 2.
You didn't have to win rounds of 4 and 5. You just had to not get 10-8'd and didn't get knocked out. So that's how you win the fight. That's how you win the fight. That's how I feel about it.
I think Peter Yan is so fucking good. And that's all people are talking about. But how about for a minute, we all just shut the fuck up about Peter Yan and realize Aljamain Sterling took him down and made him sit on his own back for fucking 5 minutes. You're that good. But he literally sat there and did whatever he wanted with him on the ground for 2 straight rounds, 2 and 3. First round, he did a little bit of it too. And he had some good striking in the 4th and 5th, but like, that's not enough, dude. Like it's not enough. And second of all, I was the biggest Aljamain hater. Jacob was the biggest Aljamain hater. But there was something that came above us when we watched the Embedded that Aljamain Sterling came in cocky, dude. He knew he was what he had to do to win this fight. He knew he was that much better of a grappler, and it fucking showed, dude. How do you not give a 10-8 in a title fight for 5 straight minutes on his back, smacking the body, going for chokes, and Peter couldn't even move.
Nope.
He made one of the greatest martial artists all time in the 135-pound division stagnant. And I think that's super impressive for a guy that maybe faked an injury the time before. And it opens a lot for the bantamweight division because Peter Yan's not done. He's going to get the belt back, I guarantee, within the next 2 years. So
and I'm sorry, I did say that he won 48-47 on all 3. He did get split decision.
It was split decision. So one of the judges definitely went with Sam and said, no, fuck that. Peter won. And I was iffy. I was at the bar and I told my buddy, I was like, I think it's 3-2 Aljo. And he's like, I think it was 3-2 Aljo as well. And he put $150 on Peter Yan and he said that. So yeah, I don't know.
One of those fights, you just gotta get rid of the narrative and rewatch it.
Hey, you gotta take the belt from the champ, right?
Yeah, that's what I said afterwards. I'm like, you gotta take the belt, but God, it just might also be I hated Aljo's fighting style.
I think they're dead
because that's the first time I've seen him fight live, and I just hated that style. I mean, it got him the win, but that was just disgusting for me.
He's so fun to watch though against lesser competition, and like Corey Sandhagen, who's just fought Peter Yan and took him 5 rounds and went back and forth the whole fight. Aljo submitted him in a minute. Like Aljo's a dog, you know what I mean? But yeah,
I don't know. That last round probably put a bad taste in my mouth from him. I understand he's just trying to get the dub, but oh my God, seeing the 2 for 22 on takedowns on that scorecard too. like on the stats.
Yeah.
Wait, can I real quick? I know I said I wasn't going to talk about the other fight real quick. Talking about stats, how did Gilbert Burns not get a single knockdown during the entire 3 rounds?
They didn't. I don't see anything. I'm on ESPN right now, just looking at it.
He rocked him with the right hook at the end of the second, and then he kind of swooped over his head when the actual time he fell. I feel like Hazmat kind of slipped. If you rewatch that and rewind it, he kind of slipped there.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they've given knockdowns for less. That's all I'm saying. But that was the only thing I wanted to ask.
They also take downs really weirdly, but
yeah. So Aljo, champion. Let's talk about what's next for both of these guys. Jan, who do we really see him going against? I think
Jan, he's beaten Sandhagen recently.
Yeah.
What else?
Who else at 135? We got
Aldo, maybe.
There's gonna be a guy coming back.
No, Aldo and Dominic Cruz are gonna be Cejudo's going 45, if anything, or 35 for the title.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I think he's going 45 though, to be 100% honest.
Yeah, I feel like his fat ass don't want to cut.
So I mean,
I think Peter Yan should fight. What's his face? He's a good striker. What are the rankings? Do you guys anyone have?
So it goes Jan, Pillishaw, Aldo, Sandhagen, Font, Marab, Cruz, and then.
Oh, I think a very good chance that it's him against Marab, who's Aljo's teammate. They've had a lot of back and forth, leading up to the fight a little bit too. I think him and Marab would be a good fight for him to bounce back, win one, see how everything else plays out, and then he's probably one fight again away from another title shot.
Yeah, because if the next person that beats Aljamain, which we know who the next fight is, it's TJ Dillashaw. If TJ Dillashaw beats Aljo, we're very well going to have a Peter Yan versus TJ Dillashaw fight. And again, that's another absolute killing fight.
And it sucks. Here's my opinion on those fights. I think Dillashaw stylistically will beat Aljo pretty good, personally. TJ's a great wrestler. He's D1 as well. I don't think he gets taken down ever. I think he beats him up on the feet, and I think it's just he demolishes Aljo personally. But I think Peter Yan can absolutely beat TJ Dillashaw. So I think Yan's gonna have the belt sooner than later. But
I think we're right back to this fight as soon as Dillashaw wins.
Yeah,
I think it's literally TJ Dillashaw and Aljo would pretty much be the same exact fight for Yan. The difference is TJ Dillashaw has a lot more power in his hands.
And he doesn't have to worry about Aljo's grappling is obviously better than anyone else in the division, but TJ doesn't put, leg hooks in. He doesn't do anything crazy. He's not going to take you down as much as it's nothing crazy. And there's also something to look out for. I don't know if they've announced it. Is it Dominic Cruz, Aldo, is that official yet or no? They're still not.
I still think it's just getting talked about. I haven't heard anything official yet.
Dominic Cruz and Aldo are both right there in the picture too. If they get a winner too, two really big names in the division could go into Yan leading into the Dillashaw Aljo winner, but we'll see.
All right, main event. I said it last week. I said that I thought Volkanovski would win. I thought Korean Zombie would put up a little bit better of a fight. The real headline of this fight is Herb Dean stopped the fight at the exact right time, gave exactly the right amount of leeway to Korean Zombie. The real star of this fight for me is Herb Dean, because I thought it put a tremendous, it put a tremendous mark on the sport for showing that it's not about all these concussions and it's not about is about fighter safety. Because let's be real, we all kind of knew Volkanovski was going to win this fight. There's a reason he was minus 700 in Vegas, if not more. Nothing about this fight should surprise many people.
Yeah, I said it beforehand. It was boring just because Volkanovski absolutely dominated him.
Yeah.
If this could have actually went to decision, there was multiple rounds that should have been 10-8.
Right.
And on the podcast leading up to this, I said that Volk would dominate him. I said the bet is to go Volk by finish. He TKO'd him. I think this just shows we're now in a conversation with the clear-cut greatest featherweight is not clear-cut. It's Volk right now, Aldo in his prime, and Holloway. And Volk has both his wins over Holloway. He's beaten Aldo. Like, Alexander Volkanovski, in my opinion, is the GOAT right now, and he's on a winning streak unlike any other. He's 11-0 in the UFC or something like that.
21 straight.
21 straight wins. And he's talking about going up to 55. But let's for a minute just – that's greatness right there. It's greatness personified. He is the greatest featherweight ever. He's dominated everybody you can put in front of him. He's beaten Holloway twice. I don't care what you think about that. And honestly, if they rematch, he'll beat him a third time. Alexander Volkanovski is the GOAT in the featherweight division, other than Prime Connor. Don't get that twisted. Who walked through the division like it was nothing. You know, it didn't take him that long. It took him 13 seconds, knocked everybody out, and beat Holloway on a torn ACL. But Alexander Volkanovski is the greatest featherweight of all time. So shout out Volk.
Agreed. I don't think there's much more to say.
Yeah, there's a reason he's called Alexander the Great.
If his next fight is still at featherweight, his next fight is going to be Henry Cejudo. Maybe the only other option, because Henry Cejudo did hit the USADA pool this week. The only other option is the trilogy finally with Max Holloway. But we'll see. Maybe he wants a tune-up fight now that he's been injured.
Whoa,
That's really it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is small news, but did you see the Korean Zombie, the medical suspension he got?
No.
2 weeks.
How many weeks?
14 days was his medical suspension.
You think he's going to train in 14 days anyways?
Yeah, like who would even fight in 14 days?
I don't know. I just thought it was funny that they even mentioned it.
All right, I just went from fighter safety to that. I don't know if I can.
He's definitely cussed. He needs more than 14 days, but it's okay.
All right. Before we get into this week's event, let's talk about the UFC rankings now that they have come out. I have a couple of surprises here. And there's a few things that make a lot of sense to me. Aljamain Sterling breaks into the top 15. He is now in at number 12. Jan falls to number 13. That makes perfect sense to me.
Is that pound for pound?
Pound for pound.
Yeah.
Hey, Aljamain's 12? I thought he was tied for 10th.
No, he's 12.
He was unranked.
Okay. I was looking at the men's rankings. I'm sorry, I forgot there's a couple of females in the top 10 as well.
No, this is the men's pound for pound rankings from the UFC. You probably were watching the ESPN one, which is made by a bunch of hacks.
Debatable.
Volkanovski moves up to number 2 in the pound for pound rankings, passing Izzy.
Yep, that makes sense to me.
Is 3?
Izzy's at 3, yeah, and Nagano at 4. Charles Oliveira rounds out the top 5.
Hate all of those rankings because Izzy should not be top 5. But we'll keep going.
All right, there was no change to the flyweight division. Bantamweight division, the only change is Peter Yan loses IC. He now goes to 1. Featherweight, Korean Zombie moves down from 4 to 5. Kelvin Cater gets to jump up from 5 to 4. That's not a big issue to me. Here's the next one that surprises me. The lightweight division. What fight in the lightweight division went on this weekend that would possibly make a change in the top 5?
Yeah.
Because how did Dustin Poirier move back to the number 1 contender spot?
Tied with Gaethje.
He's tied with Gaethje at number 1 now again.
That makes sense.
I think.
Why would that even change?
After he got,
So yeah, but if you look at the website, Justin Gaethje's name is now after Dustin Poirier, regardless of them being tied. So that makes 0 sense to me, and that is the only change in the top 15 at lightweight. As for welterweight, we already mentioned Hamzat will move from 11 to number 3. A lot of guys drop down spots. Gilbert Burns, the biggest drop from 2 spots from number 2 to number 4. Leon Edwards gets a jump from number 3 to number 2. He will be fighting for the belt anyway, so that makes sense to me. In the middleweight division, 0 change. Light heavyweight division, 0 change. Heavyweight division, Marcin Tybura somehow moved up from 10 to tied for 9th. He didn't even fight. Not sure how that works. Then we go to women's pound for pound rankings. Raquel Pennington breaks into the top 15 at number 15. Mackenzie Dern moves past Irene Aldana. She goes from number 13 to 12.
Wait, in the pound for pound?
Yeah, for pound.
Dern's 12 pound. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's not deep at all, but all right.
No. Women's strawweight. Dern passes up Yan. I can never pronounce his name. Xianin, the one from China. They flip-flop positions 4 and 5. Amanda Hebos and Michelle Watterson for some reason switched at 8 and 9. Don't understand that. Tisha Torres remains at number 7.
I'm confused about why this didn't happen earlier.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Firo moved up from 7 to 6 to pass Maya. Didn't she just beat her?
Yep.
I don't know why this happened this week.
And then the biggest switch, I believe, in the entire women's end of the sport is Raquel Pennington and Aspen Ladd swap spots from 7 and 4. So Raquel Pennington is now the number 4 ranked bantamweight in the UFC.
Damn. I don't like the women's rankings right now, man.
Yeah, I don't think the rankings mean too much, if I'm being real honest.
No,
What about the women's feather?
Flyweight.
You mean flyweight? Or no, featherweight.
No, it says women's feather.
Yeah, it's still
Amanda Nunes champion.
Nunes champion. There's no rankings. So
yeah, what the fuck's happening with that? There's definitely enough girls from Invicta to bring over there. I don't know. Later in the segment, we'll do a cash and dash, so we'll wait. But
we'll jump to that. All right, UFC Fight Night, unfortunately, is back at the Apex, so we don't get a live crowd, even though this would have been a fun fight to have in front of the main crowd, or in front of a crowd. Vicente Luque versus Bilal Muhammad 2. This is the second time they faced off. Obviously, the first time they faced off was not nearly as high of implications. But based on this card, what are you most excited for outside the main event?
I want to see Fihalo come back in there. Because didn't he fight? He fought on the last Colby Usman card, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Who's he fighting?
Baeza.
Why do I not?
And I love my Miguel Baeza, man. He's a beast.
There's a guy on the prelims that I can't wait to talk about a little bit.
Oh, we interviewed the guy, Chris Barnett.
Yep.
Are you guys kidding? That dude is so fun, man. He's such a good dude. If you guys want to go back a while, we interviewed him probably before the new year, right? Or something.
That was like in November, December. Yeah.
It was right after UFC 268.
Yep.
I'm back in contact with him a little bit. He obviously has been pretty swamped with training. So I have a feeling we're going to have him on after this win this weekend, which will be fun. And that was really the fight that I like. I don't think this is the deepest card. This is definitely not going to be as great as last weekend. However, it's still going to be a fun card. Jordan Levitt, I think that's a fun fight coming off of his Contender Series win. He's a name to watch. Kevin Kroom being on this card as the underdog. I like Kevin Kroom in this fight. Gambling odds will be out this weekend. Penny Kinzad, I believe it's how it's pronounced. She's fun to watch. She's number 12 in the bantam division.
Yeah. My guy, Pat Sabatini, I believe.
Yep.
Dude, I fucking love watching him fight. I think I said this after one of his last fights. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be in the top 10 soon. So this is huge for him. Pat Sabatini, watch out for him. He's kind of like my Ilya Topuria type of guy. I think he can crack through and become a top 10 guy. So,
and before we dive into the main event, that's actually the people's main event because I like TJ Laramie a lot too. I think that's a great fight.
That is a fucking scrap right there. That could be on to start a main card on a shitty pay-per-view. So
yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I think it's like a second to last prelim fight for right now. For right the second. Come a year from now, it's
this Francis Ngannou type of pay-per-view.
Yeah, when they go to California and no one wants to pay California taxes. Yeah, I mean, let's jump into the main event though. Sam, we can start it off. Bilal Muhammad versus Vicente Luque, number 5 versus number 6 in the welterweight division.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Luque can bring this to the ground, the BJJ skills, I don't know what did happen in that first fight.
Knocked him
I
out.
haven't.
Yeah.
Luque knocked him out.
Yeah.
Luque Bilal out.
I don't know. Bilal, his last fight was against
Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He beat the shit out of him.
Okay, it was Wonder Boy. I thought he also fought the other guy. I'm trying to think on that last pay-per-view before that.
His last couple fights, the most notable is the Leon Edwards fight because he got poked in the eye and they had to
Not
contest it.
Thompson.
No, I'm saying out of his last couple fights, that's the most notable. Like notable is most memorable.
Remember, yeah.
I don't know. I think this is gonna go back to 1-1, and I got Bilal. I just have a feeling.
I don't know. I feel like this is an interesting fight just because I don't know what the winner does and I don't know what the loser does because of how deep this division is. Gilbert Burns' name definitely could be in the conversation for either one of these guys.
Yeah.
If I would say it has to be, although Bilal Muhammad wants it too, if the winner of this fight does it dominantly enough, there's a chance that the 12th fight of Khamzat Chimaev is against the winner.
Or they could get when Leon loses to Usman.
Well, yeah, if Leon Edwards is there and he wants Bilal Muhammad and Bilal wants that fight, Bilal has been very vocal that he has wanted to fight Khamzat even when he was unranked. So, I mean, that's kind of a good storyline, but I just don't know if they give Khamzat that fight, knowing that he could fight Colby and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more money in the fight. I do think Bilal Muhammad is a dude that could. If you're gonna have someone that's gonna beat Chimaev or you're gonna beat Usman or even Covington, it's gonna be a guy like Bilal who can honestly, in my opinion, wrestle better than any of those guys. Bilal Muhammad's a freaking beast. So, also though, Vicente Luque, he wins this fight. He's right there too.
Right.
I think this division is just so stacked with those like four dudes with Burns, Hazmat, Kobe, and Usman that it's like, fuck Leon Edwards. I'm sorry. But anyone else that wins, if Bilal wins or if Vicente wins, it's like you don't want to give them that chance yet because they're not the same name as those four guys, right?
It's almost like
before a tier above everyone else.
But I do think Bilal Muhammad could absolutely beat Leon Edwards. He could absolutely beat probably just Leon out of those guys, honestly. I think the rest of them beat him, but Bilal Muhammad's a beast, so we'll see.
I'm just saying, it seems like there's a lot of names in this welterweight division.
This is
almost enough to make two divisions, if you ask me.
100% should be at 65 and 75. And my man Conor McGregor needs to go down to 55 because these guys are too good at 70.
Yeah, there's no chance.
And they're all wrestlers.
I'm just saying a 65 could be real fun because you could have Bilal Muhammad fight the winner of
you'd have
Colby versus Poirier.
Imagine 65 being Kobe Covington versus Bilal Muhammad, and then 75 you have Hazmat. Now he gets
which that would probably be better for Shot too.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You're not wrong though. I think that'd be more fun. I think you could even put them two on the first pay-per-view, and that would probably be the biggest pay-per-view of the year. The 165 and 175, two title fights, just do it right then. I think there'd be no complaints. Number one.
Where the fuck is Tatiana Suarez? She has not fought in forever, and I think she could beat anyone at 115.
Yeah.
That's the long story. Never mind. I just thought about that out of nowhere, guys. But
yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I like it. All right. I think that's enough because, I mean, we don't really know where this fight's going to go. I think Vicente Luque is going to win, but
oof.
He is a slight favorite according to like the ESPN odds. It is ESPN though.
They do get their odds from Caesars though.
So yeah, right now he's minus 170.
But good thing we don't use
minus 145.
We don't use Caesars because they're trash. Instead, we use BetMGM because you can have your Vegas bet away from home. Use the BetMGM app if you are 21 plus and in a state that is legal gambling. They've been really good to us. We're going to be really good to them. Please gamble responsibly. If you have a problem, please go to your state's website to find help. Most states it is 1-800-GAMBLER, as well as they have a website that you can anonymously put your name, even if you're not the one affected by gambling, and maybe it's a significant other or a family member. You can even contact for just advice on how to help your friend in need. So
Or former roommate.
please go to BetMGM, and they will be good to you. We're good to them. So yeah, I mean, I think that's gonna be a fun fight. I have Vicente Luque. But into roster cuts. We talked about it. Kay Hansen has been cut. The other name that I really want to talk about, a new cut, Alex Cowboy Oliveira has been cut from the UFC.
Wow.
So I don't know. Is there like a lot of surprise with that? I didn't think so.
He's still a name. You can put him on a lot of cards and get some.
I mean, didn't he fight on the main card of a pay-per-view recently?
Yeah, he lost Kevin Holland.
So I mean, yeah, he's still a name.
He makes a lot of money to not win.
He does. He makes at least 100-something thousand every time he fights, no matter just to show. So it's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, all the rest of the fighters added have been fighting or have been announced to new fights. The only other cut was Chase Sherman.
Damn.
R.I.P. Chase.
He used to be really fun on Twitter, though. If you follow him, he always tweets during the fights. Yeah,
he's got a career in media.
He started his career off with a knockout, and he hyped himself up on Twitter. Chase Sherman, looked this shit up, and then got himself kind of known, and then lost like 4 or 5 in a row and fell off.
Now we're here. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. Kay Hansen has been cut. So cash or dash, let's end it with this. Do you want me to start? Because I think I have a bold one for you guys. We've beaten around the bush on this. And there's a reason that I brought up the UFC rankings earlier. The reason that the UFC and the media members have moved Dustin Poirier from a second to tied for first is so that they can set up a 165 title fight with number 1 contender versus number 1 contender, Dustin Poirier versus Colby Covington. Cash or dash that this is actually the master plan for the UFC?
I'm going to dash. I think we would have heard a little bit more about it. It would have been in the works a little bit. I don't, but I'd want it to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to dash.
I mean, I would love it to happen. I'm going to cash it. We called it out earlier. We thought that's why Colby kept on shit talking Dustin, trying to set something up for that 165. Like maybe Dana's in his ear. Can you start talking shit to this guy?
I'm going to say cash because I think there's a reason that we haven't gotten a main event announcement on International Fight Week, even though we've been advertising the hell out of this thing. I think International Fight Week is going to be headlined by both very much loved and very much hated on both ends of the spectrum. They're both 50-50 fighters. If you're a Conor fan, you absolutely hate Poirier. If you're anyone that doesn't support Donald Trump, you absolutely hate Colby Covington. If you love Trump, then you love Colby Covington. If you hate Conor, you love Poirier. I think that brings in so many eyes to the sport. I think it's the main event, International Fight Week, new 165 division, followed up with a second card in July because we're getting 2 of them. Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. We don't know the location. That's my idea. I
mean, I would love that. I think that's great marketing right there. I hope if someone from the UFC sees this, they end up making that shit happen. But
if you guys, we're going to clip this and I'm going to put like this on a private YouTube video this comes out tomorrow, Thursday. This little segment before I start speaking about this will be out on YouTube on Friday. Just start tagging Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, Dana White, and the UFC on Twitter. And we're just going to make this thing keep going. Let Dana and the team know that that's what you want, is that you want 165 and 175 divisions headlined by Colby Covington and Dustin Poirier. All right, that was my cash or dash. Hunter, what's yours?
Mine, cash or dash. We're going to see Henry Cejudo by the end of 2022.
Oh, cash. There's a reason he joined the USADA pool.
What? Wait.
We're going to see him at Feather.
Okay.
There's a reason he joined the USADA pool. It's not like he's been far away from the sport. He's been coaching now all this time. He's got a pretty good name that he's been training with, so it's not like he's unprepared. That guy's name rhymes with Bon Bones. He's pretty good from what I understand. So I think it's cash.
I like it. I hope so, man. I want to see Henry back.
Sam?
We're going to see, I just kind of thought of this. We'll see Volkanovski fight the winner of Gaethje and Oliveira.
I'm dashing.
Oof. I'm gonna dash just because Islam's there, and I think they're gonna give Islam that 155 shot eventually. But yeah,
I'll dash from that too. There's another guy. He's been pretty good to the sport. He's going to get a title shot this year. And you're a fool if you think differently. He's a money-making machine for the UFC. The UFC is a business. Please remember that, people.
I hope so.
At 165?
No, he's fighting at 155, and then he'll become a triple champ before Henry Cejudo at 165. Just kidding. He would not beat Colby Covington.
Styles, man. That's why I told him to stay. Connor's got to stay away from 170, you know?
Yeah. But I do actually think Colby Covington's next title fight, regardless of who wins this fight. And if it's Gaethje, if somehow Gaethje beats Oliveira, which isn't out of the realm of possibility, Gaethje versus Connor is a fun fight.
That's the one I want to see regardless, man. I want to see Gaethje and Connor.
Yeah, and then who knows? Maybe you're talking about a Michael Chandler fight when Islam just gets pissed off and complains enough, and Dana puts it to him again.
I think someone can beat Islam, though. I hope so. Because I'm not a big fan.
I think they should feed Poirier to Islam.
No. Please pass on that one.
No one wants Islam win.
Does anyone have anything else for us, guys?
Hopefully New Orleans covers this -5.5.
All right. In NBA action? Is that what it was?
NBA, baby.
Okay. What are they at right now?
They're up by 1.
Okay. They should cover.
Isn't it in the first?
Yeah, it's 13-12.
The only other thing I need to say, Eloy Jimenez, as far as I know, didn't hit another home run today, but he only needs 39 more, Hunter. 39. That's it.
He's not hitting 40, but
He's hitting 40.
Seiya's gonna.
What'd you say?
Seiya Suzuki's gonna hit more than Eloy Jimenez.
Okay, settle down over there. That's like how some guy on the train told me that the Cubs have a better starting rotation than the Sox today.
We do.
Okay,
do.
good one.
Yeah.
You have 4 guys in the top 25 Cy Young odds. I don't think that the Cubs have that.
Both in the top 25, but okay.
What'd you say?
Hendricks and Stroman are both top 25.
Yeah,
They're both career guys, better than any of your dudes. So
Giolito Cease. Oh, well, I think Lance Lynn fell because he's injured, and then Kopech were all top 25. So
Kopech's hurt 4 innings only pitched his first game.
that's how much they all pitch because we got Tony La Russa. But that's baseball talk. If you want to listen to baseball podcasts, then hopefully eventually we get a baseball podcast from the pinch hitters. When they're on, they're pretty good. The issue is getting them on. First and Goal podcast will be on, I believe, this week. I was going to talk to Sam about that as soon as this ends, probably to record tomorrow. But yeah, that's everything. Shout out to our friends at the Swap. If you're looking to get into Bitcoin, ETH, NFTs, whatever the cryptocurrency world is coming up with next, go over to the Swaps Discord. They sponsor our videos. Their logo is in our YouTube videos. We also put their link in the description. So go over there. That's it. All right, boys. We'll see you guys next week. We're also going to have a show on Sunday, record Sunday, out Monday, because this episode was now over an hour long again, which I try not to do. We're going to do a breakdown of the show or breakdown of the UFC event. And then we'll start off next Thursday by just going over the future event as well as news. So we're going to break this show into 2 parts. So you guys don't have to listen to us for an hour and 10 minutes every single week, because we are finding our groove with this, if you haven't noticed, and getting better and better, which is only bringing us to better and better materials and soon to be better and better guests. Peace.